lieutenant governor of Texas who wants to be the next United States senator from Texas. The top vote getter tonight, as he expected to be, but he does not have enough votes to avoid a runoff. So it looks like this could be a very long, hot summer in Texas politics because this runoff is scheduled for July 31st.
So this is hot. So it's Ted Cruz, who got impressive endorsements. Senator Rick Santorum, Sean Hannity, Rand Paul, Dobson. These are all great people. Congressman Ron Paul, George P. Bush, Gun Owners of America, Governor Sarah Palin. I mean, Ted Cruz, for a lot of people, came out of nowhere. But then he got a lot of support from, stalwart conservatives against the guy that people were calling the establishment candidate, who was the lieutenant governor of Texas, David Dewhurst. And everybody wants that Kay Bailey Hutchinson seat because, hot commodity, try to be a senator from one of the great states in the United States, Texas. What happened, of course, is no one got enough votes last night, and so there is this runoff election that's taking place at the end of July. And Tom Leppert is the guy who came in third. He's not endorsing anyone, he says. He's not going to throw his support behind anyone. So Ted Cruz is a favorite of a lot of people. And meanwhile, David Dewhurst received some impressive endorsements himself. Governor Mike Huckabee, Michael Reagan, Texas Right to Life, Texas Alliance for Life, a number of different groups like the Restaurant Association, Texas Oil and Gas, Police Association, et cetera, et cetera. So what is going on in this race? And we decided we were going to invite both candidates on the program. I had Ted Cruz on last October, I think it was. And I asked him about a number of issues, immigration, and he'd been attacked for a whole bunch of things. But, and China is an issue near and dear to my heart. I talk about it a lot. I have since 1996, and I asked him about China. Jaden, what did he say about you called the office to get Ted Cruz on, his office? I've known Ted Cruz probably for 15 years, by the way, a long time. He's a very talented, very smart guy. What did they say?
We called the office, and they hung up on us twice.
Hung up?
Yes, and when we finally got through, they told us that they had some hard feelings from the last interview that you had with the former Solicitor General, and they weren't interested in appearing.
They had hard feelings because I asked him about China, and I didn't agree with him that China was not a problem. He didn't think that the trade deficit was something, I think we'll play it a little bit later, was something to be concerned about. Or we kicked around the China topic. I don't remember any hard feelings, but I just, I don't tend to get involved that often in primary races, so I just had him on and challenged him like I do everybody. I don't get that. But hung up on you, that's a little extreme. Well, the invitation is open, Ted. You're welcome on the show. Maybe it was just a staffer getting a little bit out of control. Who knows? But joining us now, David Dewhurst is Lieutenant Governor of Texas and Senate candidate. And all I can say is, Lieutenant Governor Dewhurst, are you going to hang up on me?
Delighted to hear your voice and nice to visit with you again.
Well, I guess y'all are using something from an interview I did in October on China against him, and so that's why now they're not talking to me.
No, I don't know. We just simply wanted to point out that I think that the Chinese government and the Chinese companies are killing millions of American jobs, and we need to give our trade negotiators more tools in their toolbox in order to have to create a level playing field. Mr. Cruz disagreed with that legislation. I supported it. Mr. Cruz had President Obama supporting him in that position. I had the majority of the conservatives in the Senate supporting what I thought was fair. I mean, we've got a real problem with China. They're stealing almost every day intellectual property. This ad that we put up with Mr. Jordan Fisherman, 74 years old, here's Ted is representing them in an appeals process. Chinese company, which with ties to the Chinese government, stole his blueprints, and then they've been counterfeiting his products all around the world. Mr. Fisherman's had to lay off all of his American workers. He's out of money. He wins a $26 million jury verdict in a federal court against this Chinese company. The deposition, the video deposition played in court, showed that the strategy was on the appeals side to stretch it out. And Mr. Cruz has been denying that it has anything to do with the appeals, but he's the counsel of record and signed all the documents. Good heavens.
Well,
anyway,
everybody deserves a defense, don't they, Lieutenant Governor Dewhurst? I mean, as an attorney yourself, you know that. I mean, everybody deserves a defense. And because Ted Cruz represents this entity doesn't mean he's like on China's side. I mean, that he's somehow pro-China over the United States of America. He probably just, is a guy who believes in free trade and doesn't think the protectionist moves against China is going to really make America stronger or make our economy any more vibrant. I mean, that's a view of a lot of people, including friends like George Will and many others.
Laura, I think you know as well as I do that this is a pervasive problem. We've got the Chinese government and we've got Chinese companies that are actively engaged in stealing our intellectual property, and it's literally creating killing hundreds of thousands of jobs. I've seen estimates as high as 1 million. Between their stealing intellectual property, between their cyber-espionage and their cyber warfare against the United States military and their currency manipulation, we have a serious, serious problem. And Mr. Cruz didn't seem to be concerned about getting paid big dollars to represent this company with a strategy to delay until Mr. Fisherman died. Meanwhile, Mr. Fisherman's had to lay off all of his American workers. I'm interested in creating American jobs and giving the tools to our trade negotiators so they can create a level playing field.
Yeah, well, your viewpoint, I gather, is that you believe in free trade, but that China distorts the marketplace, and because it distorts the marketplace, it's not really the free trade that we would probably benefit from. I get that. But staying on this race, it's just fascinating for so many reasons. Number one, much of this has been self-financed on your part, which, again, I don't have any problem with. You loaned yourself a lot of money, though, right? How much did you loan yourself? $15.2 million? No. Federal election records say that you loaned yourself $15.2 million as of May 24th. Again, I don't have any problem with that. You loan yourself money, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm just trying to get that.
I loaned myself a little bit over $9 million.
No, that's a big difference. 9 to 15.
And the reason is because the Washington insider groups that have been trying to handpick a senator, I want Texans to pick a senator, but the Washington insider groups funded about $6.5 million in negative ads that didn't say one true thing. The only thing that they got right was that my name is David Dewhurst. And so I had to defend myself. We raised more money than anyone else in this race, and I've been in the least amount of time, but still, I had to defend myself and remind people that I'm proud. We're proud in Texas of our record. We're proud in Texas that we've got the strongest economy. We're creating more jobs. We're the fastest growing population in the country, that we've cut spending, cut taxes 51 times, and we've balanced our budgets, and those are the skills, the proven skills which I have, which no one else in this race has.
Well, on the issue of these endorsements, which I think when people think about a race like this and they think, wow, how interesting, Governor Huckabee and all these pro-life groups are endorsing you, Michael Reagan and others. And
Governor Perry.
Yeah, Governor Perry, of course, I forgot him. Governor Rick Perry endorses you. But then Cruz racks up all these other folks like Jim DeMint, who you can't get any more conservative than DeMint. Palin.
All out of Washington.
No, Palin's not out of Washington. Well, Palin's not out of Washington, and Tea Party Express, and so what's going on? Like, why are they so much in Ted Cruz's camp if you're the logical conservative alternative to the other people who are in this race?
Our polling shows that on those Tea Party members that believe in all the tenets and all the principles of the Tea Party, we split that vote right down the middle. Mr. Cruz got in this race some 8 or 9 months before I did, racked up a lot of support from different people. He's worked in and out of Washington for a long time. He's got the support of these Washington insider PACs, super PACs. I'm a poor boy. My dad was killed by a drunk driver when I was 3 years old. I've had to work all of my life. I am the only career businessman in this race. And certainly between Mr. Cruz and myself, there's a huge contrast between a lawyer that's never done any of the things we're talking about and someone that is a very conservative. I'm the most fiscally conservative lieutenant governor in the history of the state of Texas. I'm the most socially conservative lieutenant governor in the history of the state. I'm a conservative businessman first. And I want to take the skills that I've had to learn through the school of hard knocks, building a business, getting knocked down, getting back up, tightening the belt. You can't spend more money than you have, and take those skills, in which in Texas, I've cut spending, Laura, by over $1 billion each of 7 of 9 years. Last year, I cut $14 billion out of the budget. I've cut taxes 51 times in Texas, totaling some $14.5 billion for Texas businesses, Texas homeowners, and Texas taxpayers.
Yeah, and so in the end, look, we look at this race, and I see two great people. I mean, I live in the D.C. area, so all of you guys are dreams to me. Oh my gosh, to have people like either of you running for office, I'd be clapping, giving the standing ovation, cheering, throwing rose petals at you. So for most of America, especially in terrible blue state regions of the country, both of you are great guys. And I know this primary has been hard fought, and a lot of people lined up, and people from outside of the state getting involved. But I think some of the stuff that's gone on, probably on both sides, is just a little bit over the top, and it's the nature of this game. But I mean, I don't think, for instance, that Ted Cruz is for amnesty, which I think a lot of your supporters and probably even your campaign have tried to push that narrative. He's not for amnesty.
Well, Laura, it's the fact that he was a board member on 2 organizations that support amnesty.
What organizations?
A lot of support. 2 different boards that he sat on.
What boards?
RealTedCruz.com, RealTedCruz.com.
I'm not going to take that as that's not exactly, is that an objective source, RealTedCruz.com? I mean,
yeah, no,
I'm just curious. Look, I'm tough on immigration, and,
He served on 2 boards whose position was pro-amnesty during the Bush administration, in which there was more enthusiasm for amnesty and a pathway to citizenship for people that are here illegally. He was involved.
But he says he's not for that, though. Like, I'm arguing on his behalf here, because he apparently is hanging up on our staffers, or his staffers are hanging up on my staffers. But he says emphatically, like you, for tougher border enforcement, absolutely opposed to a pathway to citizenship, absolutely opposed to amnesty. I mean, I'm looking at quote after quote after quote from Cruz, where he said that is just not true. That's baloney. And I understand it's a big issue, and it's a huge issue in Texas. But, I'm not sure that's the most effective argument against Cruz. It seems to me that he's tough on this issue. I mean, I don't know about these boards. I mean, a lot of people worked in the Bush administration.
Yeah, let me just put this in context. Here's Mr. Cruz, who we have on tape. And we went ahead and gave it to the media. Here he is over the last couple of weeks saying that he had no relationship, he wasn't involved in this lawsuit. Mm-hmm. And then he had to admit that he was the counsel of record. And no, I'm not a lawyer. In the case of the amnesty, 2 of his fellow board members have already come out and made statements that he was a strong supporter of amnesty. Has he changed his mind, or is he a hypocrite? Is he only saying what he has to do as a trial lawyer, as an appellate lawyer, in order to try and win this election? Well, as he's done in court to win his case.
Well, I'm gonna ask him, assuming he reconsiders hanging up on the Laura Ingraham show and joins us to discuss these issues. But look, I believe in giving you both a fair chance to be heard, and I think you're both conservative. And I think, look, this is a tough contest, and I just think, my gosh, the rest of the country would be blessed to have either of you represent their states. And so I just, that's what I want to say about this. David Dewhurst, I really appreciate your joining us. We're going to be watching this very closely. Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Texas, where I am an honorary citizen, and of course, Senate candidate. David, thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Laura.
All right, we're going to take a break on the Laura Ingraham Show, and we'll play the sound clip from my interview with Ted Cruz that apparently has them all upset at me. We'll share it with you when we come back. What's your position, Ted, on the Senate bill on this crackdown on Chinese currency manipulation, and it's something I've been focusing a lot on here on the Laura Ingraham Show. What's your position on that?
I don't support that bill. I understand the concerns about China, and I think we need to be vigorous in dealing with China, but I think it's a mistake to try to start a trade war with them. I think
Ted,
when you
Ted, I can tell you, Ted, you're really smart, and I went to UVA Law, you went to Harvard Law, but you're killing me on this, dude. Okay? The trade war is on, and we're losing it. Okay? There's $280 billion trade deficit with China. You're listening to the Laura Ingraham Show. We could have this go on and on. We might play the rest of it later. But I thought it was a great exchange. I mean, he made his point of view known about how he thinks enforcing these trade laws will hurt farmers and businesses. And my point is that, well, why have the trade laws if they're not going to be enforced? Why, when we allowed China into the WTO, we were assured that China would be held accountable just like every other member of the World Trade Organization to the things it was doing, had been doing that were contrary to the tenets of free trade, manipulating currency, subsidizing state companies, industries, and of course what we know they do. And President Obama even has spoken about how China, steals our technology and dumps all these, cheap counterfeit goods on our shores. So but we got into a good exchange on that. I don't know why he's upset about that. It's very curious. You're listening to the Laura Ingraham Show, 800-876-4123. David Dewhurst came on, and the door is open for Ted Cruz. I've known him for a long time. He is a smart, smart guy. Don't go away.